Good evening and welcome to my first election. I'm David Reese, and I'll be hosting a debate here between representing the Republican Party, Nick Tolfree, and the Democrat Party, Josh Wilson. Both are brothers in Sigma Pi fraternity. Gentlemen, let's say we get right into it. One issue that's been brought up a lot is the employment for graduating college students. You guys have anything to say about that, Josh?
All right. I think both candidates want the best for the future of the United States. That's not debatable. Barack Obama has made steps to lower college tuition as well as lower college debt that students carry after they graduate. I think the argument that students won't be able to find jobs after college is wrong. If you take Professor Ballard's 201 class, I mean, he lays it out that if you go to college and get an undergrad degree, you're on the right road to begin with, and you'll probably, your unemployment rate is less than 4%, which the national average right now is above 7. So going to college is the right choice. So.
Nick?
Right, yeah, I agree. I'd say, however, although President Obama has laid out a lot of steps to reduce the cost of college education, what he hasn't focused on is creating the jobs for us when we get out of college. And what he wants to do is take the economy back to a manufacturing economy. And that's not possible. America has moved on from that phase of its history. We're now a service economy, which is what most college degrees are geared towards. So when you say that when you graduate from college, you have about 4% unemployment, that unemployment doesn't show underemployment. You know, do you have a degree in mathematics and you're working as a barista at Starbucks? It doesn't show that. And that's why I think Mitt Romney knows what he's doing, because he's going to make the economy a service economy and grow jobs in that area.
Right. Another topic that's been brought up a lot, obviously, is our nation's debt and the future of it. So compared to what Obama has done so far and what Mitt Romney looks to do if he does get elected into office, what do you guys think that the future of our national debt's going to look like in the future if Obama or Romney's in office?
All right. The debt crisis is obviously one of the nation's largest problems that it's going to face in the future. And I'm not going to try to tell you that Obama hasn't caused part of the deficit. However, I will say that President Bush basically funding 2 wars without raising taxes and then not putting the wars on the books, contributes to part of those factors of why the debt has increased so much. Also, we were in the greatest depression since the Great Depression, and Keynesian economics will tell you that you need to stimulate the economy in order for it to grow again when you go into such a recession. If we would have done something like Europe and reduced costs, we would be in the same situation the Europeans are now with Greece. So it is a problem, but I do think both candidates are looking for ways to fix it. Obama has more of a tax the wealthy a little more than what they are being taxed right now and give the middle class a break, whereas Romney wants to continue the Bush tax cuts for everyone, which I just don't believe will create that much more growth.
Right. Like Josh said, the debt crisis is one of the biggest things facing our nation right now, but what Mitt Romney wants to do when he's president is balance the budget, which includes tax cuts, but also closing some tax loopholes. And a lot of people brought up the concern, well, does that mean like you're going to get rid of my dependency tax cut for your children, interest, things like that? But what he wants to do is create a tax basket, so to speak, maybe 50 tax loopholes or cuts, deductions, where you can choose from the ones that are most important to your lifestyle and will help you out, so that way you're not paying as much taxes on the things that you would be putting money out towards. As to raising taxes, and spending more when we're in this recession, yes, I agree that Obama took actions that he felt were necessary to get us out of the recession, but you can look at Keynesian economics that say spend to get us out of a recession, but you also have to look at the Ricardian equivalents, which say when the people of a country see the government spending this much money, they know that in the future their taxes are going to go up. So they think, well, gee, how am I going to save up for that? How am I going to pay for those future taxes? And they just start saving their money and saving their money and saving their money. And what it does is all that saved money doesn't get spent on the economy. So all that spending that the government just did is completely gone to waste, because no one is spending their money for fear that they're just going to get taxed more.
Right. If I could make one more point, I think the president is just one man. and there's only so much one man can do to
Right.
fix an economy. And I think right now what we have is a broken political system where we have the House and the legislative branch refusing to work with the executive branch, and we've had Republican members of Congress and Senate stand up and publicly say they refuse to work with this president. And I think that's part of the reason why we've been in such a in this debt crisis for so long. I'm not blaming it 100% on the Republicans, and I don't want to blame the president 100%, but the fact that Washington is unwilling to compromise is really, I think, contributing most of all to this problem.
Another topic that's been brought up almost just as much as this national debt is Obama's health care and his plan and what it's done so far and your guys' opinions on it.
Right. I think the Affordable Care Act is a step in the right direction. There's not a doubt in my mind that says we need some sort of reform to our healthcare system. But the problem I have with the Affordable Care Act is that it took a system which was the best in the world. America's healthcare system is just unrivaled. And it completely changed it, saying this is how we're going to do it the new way. This is what we're going to do instead. What I felt should have been done instead, and hopefully this is what Mitt Romney will do when and if he becomes president, is he'll repeal the Affordable Care Act and he'll look at what the absolutely amazing things are about our healthcare system, and then he'll look at the flaws and he'll think, what can we do to fix these flaws? Maybe bring down costs for the average American, or make sure that somehow everyone has some sort of private insurance that's not government funded, because we can't continue to pay for stuff like that. We don't want to raise taxes to pay for someone else's healthcare. That's just not right in my opinion. So instead of completely overhauling the healthcare system, why don't we just take the good, look at the flaws, try and fix the flaws, and compromise and create the best healthcare system that's in the world?
Okay. My only problem with that is I really don't think, Mitt Romney has said it's probably been the most consistent thing he's said over the last 2 years, is that once he is in office, he's going to repeal the Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act, or whatever you want to call it. I don't see him taking the steps to fix health care, and healthcare in the United States is absolutely extreme. I lived in Europe for 10 years. I've been to Australia. I see the healthcare systems they have. There's no reason the United States, the best country in the world, can't have those same kind of affordable healthcare systems. My girlfriend was in the hospital last Monday for 2.5 hours for basic checkups, and because she wasn't feeling well, and the cost for those 2 hours were over $5,000 for blood work and a simple diagnosis. So $5,000 for 2 hours of work, I think, is a little extreme when it comes to healthcare, and there's a lot of people in the United States who can't afford those kind of prices. So,
Something else to talk about is this nation's foreign policy and where you would like to see that go in terms of like Syria and the civil war that's going on there, and also Iran and their nuclear weapons that they're coming out with. And what do you guys think about?
over the last 3 years, we've had the rise of the Arab Spring, which has really come from out of nowhere. No one, if you probably talk to any person who studies international relations, no one saw that coming. So that's been a new issue that we've had to deal with. The Republican Party likes to say, or Mitt Romney likes to say that, we've taken a step back and we're no longer the leaders in world politics. I disagree with that statement. I believe we still are taking the forefront, but instead of taking George Bush's policies, we're trying to compromise and work with other nations. Mm-hmm. I don't understand how we were taking the back seat in Libya when over 90% of the planes flying over Libya, bombing to help the Libyan revolution, were American-flown jets. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and when it comes to Syria, I'd have to say, actually write what Mitt Romney said during the foreign policy debate, which was, we can only keep an eye on the situation and try and work with other nations and Syria through maybe the United Nations to try and put someone into power who is going to look favorably upon the rest of the world and not just shun us, thinking that our ideas are completely radical and against their own, because obviously they're not sane people. They're killing their own people on a massive scale with their own armies. That's all controlled by him. Mm-hmm. So our best bet would be to put someone in power who will work with us and who will favorably return things to the way they should be.
Mm-hmm. And I think if you watch the last debate between the two candidates, both of them pretty much agreed on everything when it comes to foreign policy. Mm-hmm. There really wasn't any difference between what they would do foreign policy-wise. Mm-hmm. So.
Right. One ending question I have for you guys. What issues do you think that Obama brought up and Mitt Romney brought up that are pertinent to college students more than anybody else?
the economy.
The
I mean,
economy.
it's going to be. I mean, I think it was Bill Clinton's advisor. You know, when they beat the first Bush, said, and they won, and everyone was shocked after the first Bush had a 96% approval rating after the first Gulf War. It's about the economy, stupid. So, and I think CNN's already been showing that it's the number one issue that voters are going to the polls for.
Right.
Right. Economy and jobs are at this point always going to be number one. You can talk about the social issues as much as you want, but if you don't have the economy to back it up, then your social issues don't exist. That's as simple as that.
Right. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Appreciate you guys watching this debate.